Sorry, part two. So, I'm there at the Olive Garden. I'll try to hold it so that I'm there at the Olive Garden, and the lady is playing games, and everything I asked for is a problem. The salad, she brought out the salad. The onions tasted like they weren't good. And I said, you know what? Why don't I get a kale salad? Because kale is really good. Kale is really healthy. And I'm trying to heal my kidneys. I didn't tell her that, but I said, instead of the salad, can I have the kale? And she says, well, you've already tasted the salad. And since you already tasted the salad, I can't return that. You need to pay for that first. She said, in order for you to have the soup, you have to pay. And I said, okay, that's fine. I'll pay for the soup. But I'm not gonna eat the salad. So she goes, and I said, I didn't say anything. So she took the salad away, and she brought back the soup. Now it's kale soup. There was no kale in the soup. It was just all potatoes. And I said, well, there's not a lot of kale in this. I said, there isn't any kale in the kale soup. So what I usually do in this case is ask if I could have a side of fresh kale. And she was like, I don't think they do that here. I don't think the prepper in the kitchen will do that. And I'm just looking like, everything I asked for is a problem. So she said, I'm just gonna have to go check. So she goes to the kitchen, and she comes back with a plate of kale. I break it up and I put it, I thank her and I break it up and put it into the quote unquote kale soup with the potatoes, and I spin it around and I just, eat it like that, no issues. So I said, well, she said, are you okay? Did you need anything else? And I said, I would like to sample the Riesling, the Chateau Saint Michelle Riesling. I would like a sample of it. And she was like, okay. And so she goes to get the sample, and literally she only put like a drop in there, enough for you just to put on your tongue and not even have to swallow. So I look at the sample and I was like, wow, that's small. She was like, yeah, we have to show the manager before we give this out. We have to show the manager all of our samples before we give them to the customers. And I said, oh, okay. And she went ahead and left. And I didn't sample it because I was eating my kale salad and enjoying it. And she comes and she was like, did you need anything else? And I said, no. So she finally gets my eggplant, which they did have. And she drops it off. And I start on it. And she was like, would you like a glass of wine? She's like, oh, you haven't even tasted the wine yet. And I said, no, I haven't tasted it yet. I just didn't say anything. She said, oh, you haven't tasted it yet. And she walked off. And eventually I went ahead and took the little swig because I like to taste it, because a lot of those servers, they don't put the cork back in the bottle. So the Riesling is not, it's supposed to be like a sweet and sour type zingy taste to it. And sure enough, it was flat. So I didn't say anything about it. I just was like, I don't have to explain to her why I'm getting a sample, because they leave the bottle open and it's not good. So you end up getting a glass of wine and it's flat. It doesn't have any zing. It doesn't have any sweet or sour to it. It's just flat. And I was like, okay, it's flat. I'm not gonna worry about it. And I'm sitting there and I'm ready to pay. And my server hadn't come yet or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm patient. I'll just wait. So the manager comes by and he said, hi, ma'am, how are you doing today? And I said, I'm okay. And he said, how was your service? How's the meal? I said, the meal was okay, but I'm a little concerned because this is the Olive Garden I used to come to ever since it opened. I would come like once a week here, but something's changed. He said, what's changed? I said, in the beginning, she said that there's no eggplant. That you don't have it the last she checked. He was like, what? We do have eggplant. We never not have eggplant. And I said, I don't know what's going on, sir. But then I asked her I tried the salad, and the salad, the onions it didn't taste right to me. And she said, since I tasted it, I had to purchase the soup in order to exchange. And he was like, what? he got so defensive and so upset. He was so frustrated. He was like, he came in closer, like, you know, because I was whispering. I didn't want to be loud. I really didn't want to complain. But I'm learning, and God is teaching me that there are situations that you should absolutely complain. You should tell, because we're in a society that people do things to people to make sure they're miserable, to make sure they have don't have a good time. And it reminded me when I was young, going to Denny's and how they mistreated us all the time. And then next thing you know, it popped up as a class action lawsuit of racism. For her, everything I said, she was really being biased, because when she was going to the other tables, I didn't see her giving them a hard time. I didn't see her telling them, oh, that we don't have that, we're going to have to check. Oh, this or that, or this and that and the other. She tried her best to make every aspect of my visit at Olive Garden uncomfortable. And, I pretty much just told the manager everything that occurred. And he was like, you don't have to pay for anything. I'm going to take care of this. You don't have to pay for anything. Now, this happened at BJ's restaurant as well. Same thing. And, I questioned myself. And it's like, okay, what am I doing? If the reality is reflecting like this, what am I doing? And the only thing that I could come up to believe is that a lot of times I don't stand my ground. And, that's something God wants me to do, obviously. He wants me to speak up when somebody is not treating me right. He wants me to speak up. So I've been speaking up, and the men are the masculine men. They're hearing me. They're triggered when I'm not having a good time. And that is good feedback to me. That is good feedback, because when I do meet someone that is aligned to me and that is supposed to be in my life, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to make sure that I am comfortable. He's going to make sure that I get my needs met. He's going to be a provider and a protector, just like the men in the reality is showing me. They're providers, they're protectors. Last night, the guy at the hotel, the fine Caucasian man, was so willing to feed me. He was so willing to flirt. He was so willing. He didn't care if his daughter was there or not. He did not care. He was like, hey, would you like some of my pizza? Can I help you bring some of your things in? How did you sleep last night? I was like, oh, wow, I like that. And that's exactly what I'm expecting. That's exactly what I'm aligning to. That is exactly, I am, I'm in my femininity. I'm resting. I'm calm. My mind is quiet. I take special time to take care of myself. My health and everything. I worked out this morning. I put on my compression socks, and I take my bubble bath, and I put on my special skin stuff, which is called, interesting enough, it's this urea cream. I put it on my legs and my feet at night, and I put my compression stockings on. But it's kind of interesting, because the very thing that's building up in my system from my kidneys not functioning at 100% is called uric acid, or urea. So I've been making it a big part of my day to make sure I'm getting vegetables. What did I have today? I had I went to a soul food restaurant here in Waco, and I got me a double order of collard greens. Oh, they were so good. And a fried chicken fried steak, which was I gave a big portion of that to I'm gonna say Ginger, to Cinnabon. Cinnabon's mother, my dog Cinnabon's mother name is Ginger. So I gave a good part of that to to Cinnabon. What else? Just trying to keep my diet alkaline. And in the hotel, they have a big thing of water that has lemons in it. So I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna get me some lemon water, which is also the acid that turns into alkaline once it's in the body. So my only goals, they're very simple goals, is to make sure I'm being hydrated. I make sure I stay hydrated and drink my 2 liters of water and get my alkaline in, which is mostly vegetables, and lemons, and avocados are good too. Get my greens in, and get my 30 minutes of walking in on the treadmill, not too extreme because I don't want to stress. My kidneys are already, down 32% in January. I need to and matter of fact, I need to get my labs done again to make sure my A1C has come up to normal, and also to make sure my kidney function is getting better, because stage 2 kidney disease, or stage 2 kidney disorder, whatever they want to call it, I rebuke it and bind it and cast it down to the lake of fire in Jesus' mighty name. I don't care. But on this plane, this is what they're calling it. This is what they're saying. This is what they're labeling it. And I'm just thankful that it is a reversible stage. It is reversible. I'm not sure how chronic it was for me, seeing that it's been 10 years since I had the car accident, and I've been indulging in ibuprofen since then. But no matter what, it's still in stage 2. And the good part about if you're having any issues with swelling and you get your labs and you identify as your kidneys that's been causing your blood pressure to be high, it's your kidneys that's causing you to have swelling in your feet, and you're seeing different changes in your skin on your feet. The good part is if you catch it early enough, it's reversible. So stage 2 is considered reversible. And the good part is that my creatinine and what else? My creatinine is not affected. It's a tiny bit high, but it's not out of normal range. So that is significant to say, hey, you have an opportunity to turn it around if you're not eating processed food. And 70% of what I need to do for my kidneys is diet. 70%. That means no processed foods. That means greens. That means make sure you're getting alkaline foods in to balance your acids, because basically the meat and stuff that I've been eating, and the bread and the man-made foods and the fake foods from the fast food places like Chick-fil-A and all the other places that you can buy food for, that you can eat. You can eat a Lego and poop it out. That doesn't mean it's food. So all of that is acid, and acid that builds in the kidneys and the liver and cause you to be sick. The only thing that does not build up acid is alkaline. You have to have that balance in your diet, or else you're going to have kidney problems, you're going to have liver problems, you're going to have digestive problems, you're going to have parasites in your belly and your gut and your intestines. You're going to have a lot of different things going on, along with stress from striving to try to provide and trying to live the life that you, whatever you're out there doing. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's the only things going on with me, is just resting and observing and being grateful in every moment. Just refusing to let anything trigger me or upset me. I'm in my level up era, I should say. I got my hair done, I got my nails done, I got my toes done, and one of my mottos, or one of my slogans, is I have more money than I can count or spend. So once I went had the interview with the one job that they decided on another candidate, glad they did. This particular job went fast forward. I had to be ready, got my physical, got everything I needed. It was a lot of paperwork, a lot of testing, a lot of modules, a lot of finding. It was just a lot. It was a whirlwind, and here I am now in Lenexa, Texas, on an assignment with a job that keeps me moving around, keeps me experiencing people doing different things in life, and it's right where I want to be. It's right where I want to be. In, oh my God, that lady peed on herself. Oh, they must be drunk. Oh no. You can see some interesting things. Oh my God, she peed on herself. She is pissy drunk. She can't even step on the steps. And she has a man. And he... Oh no, he's helping her to her... Oh my God. Oh. Yeah. So anyway, judging. No, I'm concerned. Oh my God, I've never peed on myself. I've never been drunk enough to pee on myself. I have been drunk once in my life. Oh, they had to drive her home. I mean, to the motel. I've never been so drunk that I peed on myself. Probably because the first time I ever got drunk, I was 19 in Cleveland State dorms with my friends and my friend's sister, which was much older than us. She got us alcohol. And I said I'd never been drunk. So we played a game and I got drunk. And I prayed to the porcelain god, quote unquote. That was a silly thing to say. Is what we said back then. And I never did that again. The room was spinning. Oh my gosh. No, never again. But anyway, I digress. I've had some wonderful life experiences. So, I don't really have much else to say. I'm sorry that I made a mistake and interrupted the video where I had to do a part 2. I'm still learning, and you know what I find interesting is that humans don't ever take time to acknowledge how ignorant they are and how ignorant they were in the things that they've done in the beginning of their lives to identify how ignorant they are. Say, for instance, I was 23 years old when I had my son. I was 23 years old when I had my son. Had I known I was just a baby, I would have continued to do everything I could not to get pregnant so that I could be more mature and handle things a lot differently. And they say it's healthy if you have a healthy amount of guilt for what has happened in the past. And I have a healthy amount of guilt of what has happened in my past. But I also know it was out of ignorance, and this is a journey, and most people are ignorant for a very long time, and some never wake up. Some stay ignorant. Some die ignorant. Some of them die ignorant. They never learn. I haven't shared a lot about my trauma and my past because, one, at this stage of my life, I know there's no such thing as a past. There's just moment by moment. It was an earlier moment. The earlier moments of my life were very traumatic to me because I'm a sensitive being, very sensitive person. I am very intuitive, very sensitive, and my family the family system that I was born in was very chaotic, very dramatic, very loud, very loud, lots of screaming, lots of cursing, lots of fighting, lots of bickering, lots of noise, 24/7 noise. So ever since I left my family system at 19 and got my own apartment, it's been very quiet in my life. Very quiet in my life. Even had long-term relationships, and I was thinking about the relationship. I've been thinking about relationship type stuff lately, and I can honestly say I had long-term good relationships. They were good because I didn't realize how ignorant I was. I didn't know how gullible I was. I didn't know how innocent I was. I didn't know how I had no boundaries. I didn't know that I was a product of a narcissistic parent, a covert narcissist as a parent, as my parent. But I also can say that I was very fortunate that my parent worked so much and was away from the home so much that it didn't impact me fully as it could have impacted my much older siblings, seeing that it was pretty much just like I was just neglected and abandoned type thing, where never really was considered, my feelings was never considered, my emotions was never considered. Yeah, there wasn't like a lot of special extra time taken out for me. I got a job when I was 14 because I wasn't being provided for anymore. So at that point, I had to go to the Cleveland Browns Stadium and get me a job and try to get, enough money for school clothes and school supplies. And then my older sister chipped in and bought me school clothes at one point, and I'm surprised. I don't know, maybe my mother did get upset about it because that just wasn't her intent. She didn't intend for anything good happening for me, and I was still too naive to even understand it. I was too naive to question it. I just figured if she's not doing it, I need to figure it out for myself. And that's pretty much what it was and what it had been in my earlier moments in life. But so when I did meet a long-term I had a long-term relationship, it was also with someone that he was unaware that he was a narcissist. And of course, we were friends at first, and he broke up with his girlfriend who had just had his child. And then at that time that he needed someplace to stay, I was pregnant, and my boyfriend decided he was in love with someone else while I was 4 months pregnant. So that was, I never felt heartbreak like that. I was so broken. I was so brokenhearted that I almost miscarried. My heart just felt like a crushed organ in my chest. It was so hard. It was terrible. So when he came to me and he broke up with his girlfriend, of course, I'm empathetic. I empathize. Hey, you can sleep on my couch. Plus, I was afraid. I had already had the baby, and I was afraid to be, in my apartment with this baby by myself without having a man to protect me and him. So that's how he ended up in my life, as a friend first, and then he slept on my couch for a very long time. So I wasn't his type. I was not his type, but because I was so scared to be alone, and I worked and managed the house, but he never contributed anything. So I wasn't a builder because he wasn't trying to really build on nothing but a rap career and smoke a bunch of weed. So that was my long-term relationship. Eventually, I was strong enough to say, okay, you're not helping, you're not contributing, I'm out. Plus, every time I tried to go to college, he would do things to try to stop me, He would do things to distract me, to make me drop out. So eventually I was like, okay, this is not working. When I try to do something for myself and my son, he do something to make it hard for me to learn or hard for me to stay focused and not be distracted. So I was like, okay, I'm out. He was like, if you leave, we'll never be together and you'll never have anyone else. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. I'm leaving because I'm glad I'll be rid of him. So I got rid of him. Then that's when I continued my plan to make a life for myself and my son. And I tried my best as a single parent. I tried my very, very best, but it's hard to be at two places at once. And I pray to God that no one has touched my son. I pray to God that no one has done anything in those daycares that he had to be in. But you never know. If you're working and going to school and your child is in someone else's care, you never really know what goes on. And that that ignorance of not knowing how to pick a man, that ignorance of not realizing how you were never guided. I just did what my sister did. She was pregnant and had her son at 23, and I just decided, okay, that's the age. And even though I was taken advantage of, because I knew my body very well, I told my boyfriend at the time, I was like, this is not a good time. And he was drunk, which I didn't even know what drunk mean. I kind of knew what drunk mean, but I didn't know that mean you don't know, you may not be knowing what you're doing or saying, because when I did have my episode at 19 of having more than I should, I just threw up in the toilet and went to sleep, and I was aware of that, and he could have been aware of, saying, hey, we always said we wanted to have a family together. We've been knowing each other. And I was like, no, you wear protection. I don't want to do this. So he insisted, and a child came of it. And then he dumped us for someone else. And unfortunately, my son, he harbored a lot of anger because he felt that I chose this man to be his father. And I was told by my mom to never say anything negative about your child's father. I remember her saying never say anything negative to your son about your child's father, because it'll backfire. So I never said anything. I let his father decide not to participate in his life, and when he did participate and went to his dad's house, the girlfriend would do things to my son, and my son would tell his dad, and then his dad would beat the girl up, slap her and beat her up. So I'm like, you can't be showing him how to slap your girlfriend and do these things, so, and plus he started drinking a lot. He was a heavy drinker at that point. His mom warned me. She was like, don't get pregnant, he won't be responsible. But had I listened, had I had more control over him that night, he was way bigger than me. I don't know what else I could have done. Screamed, I don't know. But anyway, he decided not to be a part of his son's life because he was drinking, had this girlfriend that didn't want to treat him right. He wanted to be in the streets. He didn't want to be a father. He wanted to be in the streets. And it was no point of him coming to pick his son up, because either he was in the streets or either he was working, but he had no time for his son. So, unfortunately, my son felt that I chose this man to be his father. So he became very angry, and what I learned firsthand is the fact that I was emotionally neglected. I didn't know I was I did not know I was emotionally neglected. I mean, how do you know what is what? What is normal to you, you never considered to be a problem until you realize, hey, wait a minute. You get the help you need. You get the therapy, and they say, you get to know that you don't know how to name your own emotions. I didn't know how to say, I am sad, I am angry, I am frustrated, I am scared. I was never asked any of those things. I didn't know when I did go to the therapist, and she talked about feelings. I didn't know what the heck she was talking. What do you mean feelings? How do you feel right now? And I'm like, what do you mean, how do I feel right now? I had no idea how to identify my feelings. And then after dealing with the counselor and therapy over time, I realized I was emotionally neglectful to my child, because I learned it firsthand. And that's the ignorance that we have as parents. It's the ignorance that we have as adults who have children out of trauma. Because I did want my son. I did want him. So the things that he said ring true to me. Yes, I do want a child. Yes, we did. I do want a family. Yeah, excuse me. So I very much wanted my son. And even though he was taking advantage and saying what he wanted to just get what he want, I still wanted my son, and because I wanted the love that I've never had. and I wanted to love someone like I never had. And I thought I did that. But once my son got older and I got the treatment I needed, I realized he was emotionally neglected, emotionally abandoned. He was abandoned by me because I was a single mom. How could you be at work and at school and all of these things and be there to protect your child? So that's an abandonment. Two, he was abandoned by his dad that was an alcoholic and doing things in the street and being a truck driver, whatever he was doing. However, his dad did provide child support for all his years, even though he wasn't present. So he did provide child support, and he did keep a job because, you know, if he didn't, he was going to go to jail. So, yeah, once my son became 17, he was full of rage. Well, before that, his teen years was full of rage, full of, what do you call it? Oppositional defiance. If I said go right, he would go left. If I said don't do this, he would do that. You know, even though I homeschooled him and we did scholastic achievement workbooks a year in advance of the grade that he would be in. So for kindergarten, we did everything, you know, we did everything. He was in private school since he was 3 years old. He went to Jewish Day Nursery in University Heights in Ohio when he was 3. And all the way up to 8th grade, he was in private school for the most of the time. And then he graduated Plano West, and which is in Texas. So he had all the best education, plus I homeschooled him. And he did all kinds of like the library reading club. He went to the tutor at Case Western Reserve on Saturdays. I did the, excuse me, my ear. I did the best things that I very much knew how to do. I read all the books before he was born as to how to be a parent, what to expect through his growth and development periods, as much as the best as I could. But that did not stop him from being angry, because what he's angry in his ignorance. He doesn't know his grandmother was a, you know, covert. He doesn't know that I was neglected and abandoned by my father. He doesn't know I was neglected and abandoned by my mother, that never really quite wanted to be a mom because my dad, or because of the way I was conceived, which could have been the way my son was conceived. I never know. My mom probably passed away without telling me that, but for whatever the reason, she had anger, and I took the brunt of that anger, whatever that relationship was. So yeah, I'm saying all of this to say that we don't know how ignorant we are until we get therapy, until we realize we are not functioning in the capacity that we should as an adult. And my son, he went to the Marines at 17 once he graduated school. Since he was giving me the blues. He was giving me the blues, and I did not. He was so angry. He was so oppositional, defiant. And I'm not going to have a child of mine physically harm me, physically try to hurt me, or, you know, physically try to overtake me and overpower me where I'm scared to come home to my own home. So he decided to go no contact and change his name and move on with his life. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. You know, he's a man, and he's had the best education, and he can be whomever he want to be, because he's not my child. He's God's child. We all belong to God. We're all on our individual journeys. We all are ignorance, and we're all living in ignorance in a journey, or what some people call this earth school. We're all in earth school. We're all going to learn. We're all going to have challenges, trials, and tribulations. We're going to all learn that our biological family does not belong to us. It's just it's all God's play. It's the play of Maya. It's all God's play. God had a desire to bring my son in the world. God had a desire to bring me in the world. God had a desire to bring my dad in the world. God had a desire to bring my mom in the world. This is all the play of God, and nothing is a mistake. So I say that to hope that anyone that is dealing with an estranged child understand that the Bible says, I will teach your child and your child will be blessed. I stand on that scripture to this day. I have no regrets. I have regrets to the fact that I was ignorant, but that wasn't my fault. That was God's play. That was God's play. That was God's choice. And I don't think I could. I definitely know I couldn't have chose any other way, than how things have gone. I couldn't have chosen any other way. And there were times where, I just knew I had to move forward with whatever it is that I was inspired to do. And, here I am. I am inspired to be where I'm at in Mahexa, Texas, a place I've never been, near Waco. And I am going to have some fun here. I'm going to go to see, what's it called? The Silos in Magnolia. Chip and, what's his wife's name? The Gaines from HGTV. I want to go see the Magnolia Silos, and I'm going to have a good time here, and I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to continue to pray and meditate that my son and my family is safe, and that they are being productive, and that I always encourage that they meditate so that they can see and that they can learn how defective their thinking is, and how much better they could be thinking and behaving in the world, and how things could be a lot different if they meditate and get in alignment with what God's will is, and get to a point where they can be content with whatever comes. You have to be content with the bad and the good, because it's going to always be. It's always going to be good, and it's always going to be bad on this plane, in this realm of the world. It's always going to be opposites. It's going to be polarity or duality, good, bad, rich, poor. But I'm learning that when you reach a level of contentment, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nothing seems to matter anymore. So, I'm making more money than I ever have in my line of work, but it doesn't matter. It's so weird. It doesn't matter. I'll just put everything on auto pay like I did in the past, and let it all go into investments and savings, I don't have any debt. I don't have any big utilities. I just have my cell phone, my car insurance. Oh, I do have Capital One, because at one point I was like, well, hey, let's try to develop your credit and do this and do that. And I'm like, yeah. But, I'm not even enthused about that. I don't want to play the credit game. I don't want to owe anybody. But, God inspired me to sign up for that credit card, and I did. And He'll inspire me on how to use it as well. So, it's Saturday, June 26th, I believe. 2026. Oh, June 26, 2026. Me and my synchronicities. I've been having a lot of 555 in the morning and 555 in the evening pop up. And 12:22 keeps popping up. 12:22 a.m. and 12:22 p.m. pops up. Those have been on repeat. What other synchronicities? I'm just very aware of how the alignment is, how I'm channeling my this realm, because the feedback I receive from this realm is coming from my internal being. It's coming from the way I think, the things I believe, and the energy and frequency that I maintain. And it's all been pleasant. It's all been very positive. The people here have been really nice. All my interactions here have been really, really nice, really sweet and genuine, very sweet, very nice. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to go ahead and get off this YouTube. And I hope all is well with all my people who are a part of my chat, who have liked my channel. Yeah, I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. I still see a lot of puffiness from my kidneys, but it's slowly coming down because my face, I wanted to do a video a couple of days ago, but my face was even bigger. But now that I'm focusing specifically on alkaline diet, that I'm getting my water in, that I am, I'm taking smooth moves, because a part of it, you have to make sure you're pooping and you have to make sure you're peeing every day in order to get this water retention, and in order to get this uric acid out of your blood, you have to be pooping and peeing. So I've been adamant and focused on making sure I'm drinking 2 to 3 liters. Not too much, because if you drink more and you have any salt in your food, which all processed food is salt, you're gonna retain water. So I'm trying to stay away from the process. Even though I did go to the soul food restaurant, I had greens and I had the meat, but I didn't eat a lot of it. So I'm a work in progress, and I'm hoping to see things on my side change a lot more. Everything's always changing in the world, right? So the pendulum gonna swing. It swung as far as it ever has into homelessness, sleeping in the car, and that's as far as it ever swung. So it looks like it's starting to swing the other way, because even this whole situation happened very quickly, from me sleeping in my car to me being in Biloxi, Texas on assignment, making more than I ever have. So I'm excited about it, and I also continue to stay in alignment, because I know that there's more for me to do, and I know there's more for me to make, and I know that there's a lot I need to do for my family, and I definitely want to make sure everything they need is taken care of. I'm thinking on the lines of buying a house for my family in Ohio, and maybe some therapy. You know, whoever wants to live there can live there. You know, everybody needs some place to go at some point in their life. And I think having a family house would be something that will provide that stability, provide that level of comfort when things don't go well, or when things swing out of alignment with my family, so that they can get the counseling that they need, that they can take the time to medicate and take proper care of their bodies and their minds and their spirits, and, you know, just chill out, you know, learn to relax and stop striving so hard. All we've ever known to do is survive in my family. Never an opportunity to just coast and be, you know, with God. And never an opportunity they have never seen an opportunity to get counseling in order to understand who they are, why they are, what their feelings are, and to deal with the result of being in a broken home, a single family home, a covert home, and to flush out all the negativity that occurred, and so they can move forward positively and, you know, find peace in their spirit before they transition out of this world. That's my hope. That's my prayer, that I can save my family, that I can very well reconnect with my son at some point. You know, I miss him dearly. I know in my heart that like God said, I will teach him, and I will teach him, and your children will be blessed. I believe it, and I know it's happening. It's just not happening in my sight, because he's still very much teaching me and working on me and blessing me. He's showing me, and oh my gosh, man, this last 11 months have been a whirlwind, and I can't believe that I've been homeless almost a year come next month. and come actually what in the next couple of weeks it'll be a year, but it don't feel like that. It don't, I literally feel like I'm outside of time. It literally feels like it was a couple of days. All of this stuff that has taken place feel like it was only a couple of days, honestly. So I'm very blessed in that. I'm very blessed, and being present in each individual moment has helped to the point where I lost time. Obviously, I've lost time. I didn't keep up with what day was what. I couldn't keep up with the months. They all just flew by. And now I'm in this wonderful hotel, huge hotel room, huge tub, huge bathroom, huge high ceilings, big king size bed, plush. Everything is just very plush and very nice. And I'm so grateful to God. All I do is say thank you all day. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Thank you, my God. Thank you, my God. Thank you. I know that this illusion isn't real, and I'm not trying to attach to it. I'm just going to enjoy this time while I'm here, and I'm not attaching to anything. I am a generous person. I am safe. I am secure. I am convinced. I am convicted. I am confident. I am that I am. I am beautiful inside and out. I have more money than I can spend or count. I am loved. I am love. I am loving. I'm kind. I'm patient. I am generous. I just keep those things filtering through my mind. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lord. Thank you, God. In Jesus' name, I'm rebuking, binding, and casting things to the sea of hell when it's negative thoughts, negative emotion, or if I see a situation where someone is trying to trigger me. That's when I start, first I pay attention to see why my brain impulses are behaving this way. And most of the time now, it's just a lesson. It's a lesson for me to speak up for myself. It's a lesson for me to speak up in a way that's kind, friendly, and properly, doing things the proper way. I don't have any back and forth with wait staff, and I even still try to tip them, but the last time he was like, no, I'll take care of everything. No, you don't. No, you're not gonna. Man was ticked, and I was like, okay, thank you. And then after he left the table, and I took a deep breath, because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what's going on. Why everything that I asked for, she said it's not. They don't have it. I just was so confused. I took a deep breath, and she was like, do you need anything else? Is everything okay? And I was like, sure, everything's okay. And then she walked off, and I got up, and I got my purse, and I left. But anyway, that's my update for June 26. Talk to you all soon. Hoping to be leveling up more and more. Yeah, that's it for now. I'm waiting on God to tell me what the next thing to do, because my plans have not always been successful. So I'm just going to wait, because I don't want to push against the grain. I don't want to push against resistance, because there's so many things that I really want to do. And right now I'm just going to continue to sit still, continue to meditate, and continue to go with the flow and enjoy every moment of it. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful 4th of July. And be safe and meditate and say your affirmations and do your vision. Do your visualizations. And do know that whatever you see that happens in your quote-unquote reality in this illusion comes from your own mind. The chemicals, impulses that's going on in your own brain. So if your world is not kind to you, if your world is not giving you what you want, you need to identify who are you as the person that's wanting these things. Are you in alignment to the results you want? Because that's what it boils down to. It boils down to what you're in alignment with, who you are as a person. Are you the person that's deserving of the reality that you want? And if you're not having the reality that you want, you need to identify what the lesson is for you to learn. What is the lesson in it for you? It's always a lesson. It's always a lesson, or it's a reflection. It's a reflection. It's a lesson for you to, okay, now stand up, stick your chest out, not in pride, but in the ability to stand against these demonic forces. You know, whether it's in your own impulse, in your own mind or not, you don't agree with it. Don't agree with negativity. Don't agree with being mistreated, but handle it in a way of love. Handle it in a loving way. Be loving. You want love? Be loving. You want kindness? Be kind. You want generosity? Be generous. You want the world to give to you? Give to the world. You want all the things? Be all the things that that are a magnet to what you want. Excuse me. So anyway, excuse me, that's my lecture in soapbox box. Have a wonderful weekend. Oh, my voice is getting dry. Have a wonderful weekend, 4th of July. Bye. Talk to you all soon.